the internet because a lot of bad things are happening to young kids and young minds, and their minds are being formed. And we have to do something about maybe what they're seeing and how they're seeing it. And also video games. I'm hearing more and more people say the level of violence on video games is really shaping young people's thoughts. And then you...
С нами Бог. Remember, no Russian.
Pong is one of the earliest arcade video games. It was a very simple table tennis sports game featuring simple two-dimensional graphics. The game was originally manufactured by Archery, designed by Alan Alcorn, which was released in 1972. Pong was a great hit when it came out. Move your cursor to get the slides to bounce back to the moving square. It will speed up as you progress on. Pong quickly became a success and was the first commercialised successful video game, which helped to establish the video game industry along with the first home console, the Magnavox Odyssey. During the 1975 Christmas season, Archery released a home version of Pong. Pong was a phenomenal success, opening the door to the future of home video games. The gaming industry started at amusement arcades, which allowed people to play arcade games such as video games, pinball machines, coin-operated billiards, or air hockey tables. The golden age of the arcade video games is usually defined as a period beginning sometime in the late 1970s and ending sometime in the mid-1980s. As technology has developed and increased, the arcade industry has subsequently declined in the Western Hemisphere as competing with home video game consoles such as the Sony PlayStation and the Xbox, which increased their graphics and gameplay capability. A video game is an electronic game that can be played on a computing device such as a personal computer, gaming console, or mobile. Depending on the platform, video games can be subcategorized into computer games and console games. In recent years, however, the rise of social networks, smartphones, and tablets introduced new categories such as mobile and social games. Video games have often come a long way since the first games emerged in the 1970s. Today's video games offer photorealistic graphics and stimulate reality to a degree which is astonishing in many cases. Newzoo released its latest update of its global games market report. It shows that 2.2 billion gamers across the globe are expected to generate 108.9 billion in games revenues in 2017. This represents an increase of 7.8 billion or 7.8% from the year before. This beats the global figures for music and movies combined, and yet video gaming is still seen to have a niche demographic by comparison. Mobile is yet the most profitable segment, with smartphone and tablet gaming growing 19% year over year to 46.1 billion, claiming 42% of the market. In 2020, mobile gaming will represent just more than half of total games market today. Today's video games offer photorealistic graphics and simulate reality to a degree which is astonishing in many cases. Violent shoot-'em-ups have always been an essential of the video gaming industry, but increased computing power, new technology developments such as 3D and immersed systems such as the Oculus Rift and even more realistic graphics have heightened the sense of moral panic. Games such as Grand Theft Auto and Call of Duty focus solely around violence and killing being the main objective. Call of Duty is one of the most popular games you can buy, and it is not surprising how much controversy it has made in the public eye since its release. The controversy has mainly come from the violence in the game, and most notably, evidence comes from one of the first missions in the game known as No Russian, where in this you play an undercover terrorist who opens fire on an airport full of citizens. This especially causes outrage due to the recent terror attacks in the real world and school shootings in America. Grand Theft Auto is another game that is very popular since its release in 1997. Some say the violence on the game is extremely unnecessary, including the murder of prostitutes and innocent bystanders on the street with a huge range of weapons to use, and probably most notably the torture you can use on Grand Theft Auto 5. On this game you can walk through places like Los Angeles and California, stealing cars, murdering whoever you want with whatever weapon you want, and robbing people of their money. Call of Duty Black Ops took in over $650 million in the sales of the game's first 5 days, and which set a 5-day global record for any movie, book or video game. Although both games are rated 18+, it is very easy for the games to be ordered online from places like Amazon or from other places without proper checks being done on the buyer's age. Also, many parents only see it as a game without no other implications on real life. They might buy these games for their children. However, there are many cases of violent teens who act out in real life as they would on a game, as they cannot tell the difference between reality and fantasy play. One of the most high-profile cases of imitating violent video games in real life comes from the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting. The Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting occurred on December 14, 2012 in Newtown, Connecticut, when 20-year-old Adam Lanza fatally shot 20 children between 6 and 7 years old, as well as 6 adult staff members. Prior to the driving to the school, he shot and killed his mother at their Newtown home. As first responders arrived in the scene, Lanza committed suicide by shooting himself in the head. The incident was one of the most deadliest mass shootings at either high school or grade school in the US history, and the 4th deadliest mass shooting by a single person in US history. It was said his existence largely involved playing violent computer video games in his bedroom. Adam spent hours daily playing Call of Duty, which many believe contributed to his act of mass shooting. Another case was Anders Breivik, who shot 68 people dead at a youth camp of the Norwegian Labour Party. According to the judgment rendered against him, he liked playing violent games and he actually used the game Call of Duty to train for his shooting massacre. A further case was Jacob Tyler Roberts, who played Grand Theft Auto, and his rampage enacted a violent mission from the game called Mall Shootout. The gunman, 22 years old, ran into the shopping centre with a hockey mask on, opening fire on shoppers and employees with a stolen AR-15. He fired a total of 17 shots, killing 2 people and seriously wounding 3 others. Violence is not the only form of transgression in gaming. Sex in these games is also a very controversial issue. Rape Play is a controversial 3D erotic video game made by Illusion, released on April 21, 2006 in Japan. You play as a selective character, and the object of the game is to rape the Kyu family, consisting of a mother and 2 daughters. In story mode, the player rapes the 3 girls. After the main character finishes raping all 3 girls, the players have the option of free play scenes involving groping, oral sex, gang rape and bondage. In 2009, Labour MP Keith Vaz called for restrictions on the games as they were globally available on Amazon, pressuring Amazon to withdraw the game. It was banned in Australia in the same year and then in Argentina in the following year. Eventually, Japanese feminists forced the government to ban the game in Japan, although piracy still continues to be an issue. To conclude, there has been many transgressions that occur in the video game industry. Most talked about is the violence shown in a huge range of different video games, all with 18+ ratings. Although some argue against real-life violence and video games having a correlation, we can be sure that violence and sex does contribute to the huge popularity of these games. Sex and violence, just like in TV shows, film and music, is extremely popular and is able to create such huge profit.